Throughout history, cows have symbolized calmness and simplicity, far from the realms of mystery and drama. However, the tale of Jack and his extraordinary encounter with a seemingly ordinary farm cow shattered all those preconceived notions. As a seasoned farmer with decades of experience, Jack believed he had witnessed every aspect of cow-related incidents: startling births, daring escapes, and the endless chorus of moos and chews. But little did he know that following one of his farm cows down a strange path would start a chain of events that would forever alter his perspective. Jack had worked on farms his entire life and had owned his own farm for the last 10 years. He loved being outdoors, getting his hands dirty, and spending most of his hours in the company of animals. In fact, Jack's friend Other joked that he shared a deeper connection with his cows than he did with humans. And well, they weren't wrong. Little did Jack know that this connection with his animals would soon force him down a dark path where he would fight for his own life and his animals. But we digress. The day when Jack's life changed forever started out like any other day. The animal lover slowly made rounds around his property, checking on all the animals while enjoying the beautiful countryside. Thankfully, everything was in order, and as Jack approached the cow pasture, he was expecting nothing different. But when he got closer to the field, he noticed that one of the cows was far from the herd. The cow also seemed to look agitated, and as Jack approached her, he could sense that the cow was fearful and paranoid. He tried to calm her down, but it only seemed to worsen the situation. It was clear to Jack that this cow needed help, but to do that, he needed to know what was causing her distress. The strangest part was that the other cows, who were usually social and receptive to each other, were completely oblivious to what was happening to this cow. For them, it was just like any other day. Just as Jack was lost on how to calm down the cow and help her, he thought he saw something in his peripheral vision, a dark shadow amongst the trees. He quickly turned his head in that direction, but there was nothing. Jack wasn't one to get easily spooked, but something about the strange shadow, combined with the cow acting this way, made his heart beat faster. He knew he needed to de-escalate the situation quickly. His main worry was that the cow would inadvertently harm itself or the animals around it. Even Jack was in danger. While Jack's instincts told him to investigate the shadow, his logical mind forced him to deal with the cow first. But, of course, had Jack listened to his instincts, he would have saved himself a troublesome ordeal. But at the time, Jack thought nothing more of the shadow than his mind playing tricks on him and focused on the confused and agitated cow. Thankfully, Jack's constant reassurance and calm manner were actually helping. To Jack, it seemed like the cow was trying to tell him something, and the farmer planned on finding out precisely what it was. 30 minutes had passed, and the cow had calmed down significantly, but it still wasn't back to normal. This finally allowed Jack to investigate the pasture and see if something he had missed made the cow agitated. He quickly checked the cow, ensured it wasn't hurt, and searched the ground around it. But just as he looked around the pasture, the cow ran in the other direction. Jack looked around, panicking as to what could have spooked the cow. In his experience, cattle usually ran if they were startled. To the farmer's utter surprise, though, this cow looked to be running in a specific direction, straight towards the tree line. The cow was heading to where Jack had seen the supposed shadow. Jack scanned the area again to figure out what was happening, but couldn't make heads or tails of it. All the other cows were calm and unbothered, but this single cow ran straight to the tree line. Confused and running out of ways to help, Jack followed the cow. 5 minutes later, Jack finally caught up with the cow, who looked visibly distressed and began circling a particular spot. In his rush to follow the cow, he had left his walkie-talkie near the pasture's fence, and now he had no way to call for help. But it all made sense when the cow moved to the side and revealed what she was circling. Once the cow moved out of the way, Jack saw the sickly calf. The poor animal was barely breathing and not standing up. Jack had seen many calf births and could tell that if he didn't help the animal now, the chances of its survival were non-existent. He quickly started examining the calf. Within minutes, the calf's breathing began to normalize and they even stood up. All the while, the mama cow watched with concerned eyes as Jack helped the calf. It became clear to the farmer that the cow had intentionally tried to get his attention and bring him to the calf. Despite having raised cows for years, Jack had no idea they could communicate with humans in such a manner, but he was beyond grateful that the cow had managed to do just that. Because if Jack hadn't arrived to help, the calf would have lost its life. Thankfully, the danger was over, and the mama cow was even nursing its baby, so the farmer finally took this time to run back to his walkie-talkie to call for some help. He wanted the calf and mother cow to be professionally examined to ensure they were healthy, but when Jack reached the pasture, he saw something completely bewildering. All the cows, calm when Jack went to the tree line, were in complete panic. The animals were running, panicked, in every direction. The farmer was beyond confused. What was happening? And that is when he saw them. Two men with cattle prods were running wildly in the pasture. The men were on foot with large sacks and were going around tasing the cows randomly. The farmer immediately screamed at the men and shouted at them to stop. But they didn't hear Jack over all the commotion the cows were causing. And to Jack's utter horror, the men got hold of a calf and began to shove it into the sack forcefully. Jack looked around helplessly. He wondered if the men were armed. Clearly, they were prepared. And with the farmer alone, without any backup, he worried that this situation could turn ugly quickly. But the farmer couldn't just watch as these men stole his calves. So, still buzzing with adrenaline from saving the calf, Jack did the unthinkable. He ran full speed into the pasture, screaming and shouting at the men, and finally the thieves took notice of Jack, and seeing him enraged and ready for a fight, the men quickly gave up on their attempt to steal the calves and ran away. Jack was expecting the thieves to put up a fight, but it seemed that just seeing Jack was enough to make them change their minds. The farmer chose not to pursue the men, worried they might have backup waiting. Instead, he took this chance to use his walkie-talkie and finally called for backup. Thankfully, within minutes, 4 of his farmhands were on the scene, helping count the cows and calm them down. And in the next coming days, Jack learned that those men had belonged to a larger group who had gone around the area to steal cattle, and Jack's farm was the only one which hadn't been touched, all because of the farmer and his heroics.